game. He's open already. Back in the game.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? I'm Big Sarge from Sports Talk with Big Sarge Podcast and Houston Style Magazine Sports. To my right, I have
the Greens Point Grizzly, Keith, SportsFusionLive.com,
aka Case Kingdom Jr. And to my left, I have
It's your boy AB from APR.com.
Man, listen, let me tell you all something. Training camp has started. Texas training camp has started.
Smell football in the air.
Right? You sure it's football and not my skin? Because I'm going to tell you something. Like, it's hot out there,
But you've been out there at training camp, so it might be you.
Listen.
You smell like fresh pigskin. I don't know.
I thought I smelled like vibranium. I'm about as dark as someone that should be in Wakanda, right? I told you all earlier that I walk around going like this, right? Wakanda forever. But yes, Texas Training Camp 2019 has started. Day 6 concluded on today.
Okay.
They had an off day on yesterday, and so they came back, and I was really excited to see them, first in the bubble because it's cool in there. But before we even got into the bubble, you could tell that there was a buzz, generating. They were really, really loud and exciting today. And it's funny because, with everything that's going on in Houston sports, even, what happened today with the Astros getting Zach Greinke, that's the Astros have gotten Greinke, the Rockets picked up Russell Westbrook, and now fans are waiting on the Texans to make a splash. And I'm saying to myself, I don't know if it's coming, even though they have $40 million in cap space, but they don't have a general manager. So, Aaron, do you think that there's a splash to be made out there?
Look, I think the splash, if there is one to be made, I think it's the O-lineman up in Washington, right?
Trent Williams?
Yeah, I think that's the move to make, right? I think you instantly upgrade your offensive line if you make that move. Look, the biggest difference between what the Rockets pulled off and what the Astros pulled off is that leadership role. You're talking about two of the most established and probably better respected GMs in their respective sports. He's gotten more from nothing so many times over and over again. And you look at Luno's moves, right? And other than not paying Charlie Morton, you can't really say he's made an improper move or a move that didn't pay off one way or another. The Texans don't have that, right? We have nobody manning the helm.
I don't think that. And side note, with the Charlie Morton situation, because I heard you mention him, I don't think that Charlie Morton would have came back anyway. I think that his decision was more family oriented.
That's an interesting thought because I never really think about it from that perspective, right? I see that he got, max dollars, right? He got a big, huge contract, and it didn't look like we were looking to pay any starting pitchers that type of money last year. Just case in point, what we did to backfill Morton, picking up Miley, we picked him up for peanuts, really.
Yeah, that's true. And so
$15 million discount over what Morton's getting. So
yeah, and you cannot beat that. Now, you said that you want you said you want the Texans to pick up Trent Williams. From what I'm hearing, though, I don't think that Trent Williams can pass the physical. There was something that was going on in his head. And I don't mean like mentally. I mean that there's some type of head injury that he has. And the one thing that the reason why he's so mad at the Redskins is because they didn't disclose it to him properly. So that's why he doesn't want to go back.
It's an issue with the medical staff.
Yes.
I did know that was the root of his unhappiness. What's interesting about that, though, is that he is eligible to play for the Redskins this year. So if there really is an issue, he wouldn't have that same medical issue for any team he was going to play for.
Keith, the Texans picked up Matt Khalil in the offseason, though. And if they go out and get Trent Williams, then he feels that same position that Matt Khalil does. Do you think that the Texans would do something like that?
No.
That's a strong take.
Yeah, exactly. Why not?
We kind of talked about this off camera, me and Aaron. It was like the Texans have done some things, made some decisions that, as a fan, you stand back and look at, okay, how many more situations do we have to run in that plays out the same way, every season with specific players? And you kind of look at the decision making that goes on behind the scenes, and you kind of question, like, why didn't we pick up this guy, or why we get rid of this person? So as a fan, I kind of sit back and look at the 2019 season going into 2020, kind of like, all right, do I want to be neutral? Because as a fan, I don't know if they're going to make any splashing situation that's going to say, you know what, we're going to pick up a high-profile player that we need. That's going to either, as you say, build the offensive line. Of course, is what we've been needing for a long time. Or, are we going to pick up a position that's going to be pinnacle to us, even going further past the first round of, the playoffs to go to the big game. So I don't know. I'm with a lot of decisions that's been going on. I'm kind of like standoffish. Like, okay, no, I'm not going to speak on that. It's just because of the certain things that have been going on.
Most definitely. So, well, let's go ahead and jump into it. And let's talk about the expectations. Now, I know that we can't talk about the records because they haven't filled out the 53-man roster just yet.
Right.
But Aaron, what are your expectations for the Texans this year?
Look, coming right out of the gate, when you look at the schedule and you see that murderous row that we got in the first several weeks of the season,
Jesus.
I think you tend to look at it with through the historical lens with a pessimistic view, right? But I can tell you this, from what I've been seeing from the clips you're posting out of training camp and from what you're hearing in the general media, the one thing that's different about this season that I think is different from any season that I've been a fan for as long as we've had the team is we have a quarterback that can go toe-to-toe with Aaron Rodgers. He can stand up there and he can throw with Tom Brady, with Russell Wilson, right? He's done it. Mm-hmm. And so I have more faith in that than I've had in our offense, hope in our offense in a really, really long time.
But the Texans opened up. Let's talk about I think it's their first 7 weeks. They played the Saints, the Jaguars, the Chargers, the Panthers, the Falcons, the Chiefs, and the Colts. That's going to that's a very
tough.
very brutal schedule coming right out the gate. You're playing against top-notch quarterbacks. And you still got to play Andrew Luck. You're playing against Drew Brees. You're playing against Cam Newton. You're playing Phillip Rivers, Patrick Mahomes.
The only thing that I can say that gives me hope in this is, like I said, we got a QB that can stand up there and go toe to toe. I feel like our defense is going to be better than a lot of those guys, except for when you talk about the Chargers and you talk about the Colts, right? I think where it's going to be different than in years past, or what gives me hope is I think a lot of those defenses that we're going to be playing have a lot of holes in them. This isn't Cam Newton's Carolina Panthers that went to the Super Bowl, right? Mm-hmm. Their defense is not the same. That was a defensively led team. Other than the Colts and the Chargers, I don't think anything really scares me from other teams' ability to shut us down in what we do if we're fully healthy.
Premature prediction. First 7 weeks. Coming out of week 7, what do you think the Texans will be?
I think if we're 3-4, I think we're ahead of the game.
What about you, Keith?
I'm gonna say 2-5.
I'm gonna disagree with both of you all, and I'm gonna say 5-2.
I can see that. Like I said, there's only 2 defenses that scare me, so I could definitely see it breaking that way. But you got to factor in the Bill O'Brien bonehead decision into one of those things, and then look, injuries happen to everybody, right?
And see, what I'm worried about also is Deshaun staying on his toes, so much, and being able to have to run the ball because of the breakdown of the offensive line again. That's what I'm worried about. And again, maybe it's something I'm missing because, like I said, I haven't had a chance to go to the camp yet. And Sarge, and maybe you can enlighten me on that aspect. Do you see anything as far as building of the offensive line on that note? Because again, like I said, as Watson being a young quarterback, yeah, he has the agility. He has he can see, because he is, tall, but he can see. He has the power to throw downfield. But will he be on his toes as much as he was last season?
So before I answer that, I'm gonna say this. Aaron said something about Coach O'Brien making some mistakes. I don't see that this year, the reason why I say that is because he's put 3 people around him now. He's finally opened up to sharing the playbook.
Okay.
He's finally opened up to share some of the offensive responsibilities. They brought in Carl Smith. They like to call him the quarterback whisperer, who coached Russell Wilson for so long.
Right.
And Deshaun talked about having him in there today. He's like, he's been around. He's been around longer than I've been born. That I've been living. Excuse me. He was here before I was born. And so, with the wealth of knowledge that he has and that he brings to the table, it helps all of us out. I mean, and listen, I know that it's just training camp right now, and I don't want to get too high on the horses, because I remember talking back in 2000, I think it had to be 2015, when Osweiler first got here, if I'm not mistaken, and I had a guy saying how great he looked, and I don't want to fall into that same trap when talking about AJ McCarron, but he doesn't look as bad in person as he does, or as he did when he was on other teams. So, with the addition of Carl Smith, with the offensive assistant TJ Yates, and now, the Texans finally have an offensive coordinator. Bill O'Brien got here, Coach O'Brien got here, in 2012?
Right.
So this is the first time they've had an offensive coordinator, correct?
But is he still calling plays? The OC's not going to be calling plays. Bill O'Brien's still be calling plays, right?
He's going to still be calling plays, but he's going to have other people in his ear telling him what he sees, and he trusts these people.
But
So
now, will that be? Is that beneficial? Or is it still going to be a situation where that kind of actually harms the Texans' offensive approach?
Definitely going to be more beneficial, because I think in the past, because he had so much control over the offense, he wasn't listening to everybody. But now that he's finally given some of the control to TJ Yates, now that he's giving some of the control to Tim Kelly.
Is it really control or like smoke and mirrors?
Look, as long as someone game time is in his ear saying, please don't run another 2nd and 10 run straight up the freaking middle, right? If anybody can tell him something in his ear other than doing that, I think it would cut down on his predictability. I think that's why we get caught with our pants down at the end of games sometimes, right? It's because people know what to expect from Bill O'Brien. If he has opened it up and doled out some of the responsibility, I think it's a very welcome thing. I'll have to see it, right? I need to see it in action.
Well, I think that, like I said earlier, this is a different from what I've seen, and it's only been, and I'm talking about during OTAs and during training camp.
Okay.
I've just seen a different mindset going into year 3. Now, they've been in West Virginia for the last 2, so I don't get a chance to see them or evaluated them, coming in late, coming into the regular season or some of the preseason games. So this year, I'm actually getting a chance to see him in action. I'm getting a chance to see him control the entire training camp. And now that he does not have to call all of the offensive plays, now he doesn't have to be as hands-on with the offense. He's able to move around and pay attention to other things. Coach O'Brien,
like an actual head coach.
Yeah, Coach O'Brien, I will say this. For as much as he loves offense, I want you all to pay attention to something when you listen to him talk. He loves special teams. I don't know what it is about special teams that he loves so much, but when you hear him talking about guys, and watch the jubilation and the elation that he has in his face once he starts talking about a guy on special teams. One of the reasons he likes Tywan Jones, the running back, it isn't that he likes him for the running back, he's a special teams guy. And I think that, and I don't know this for sure, but it seems like one of those things where Coach O'Brien was the kid who always tried, gave his all, and so that's what he looks, and that's what he said. You know what? Before we go to break,
Looking for Rudy.
no, actually, he reminds me of Case Keenum.
Oh,
Here we go.
That's who. Maybe we should change Case Keenum's name
let's
to the
push the hot button.
to the little engine that could. We'll get back to that. And I'll answer your question on the other side of the break about the offensive line and what I've seen and why people are not giving Titus Howard enough credit. As a HBCU grad, as a Prairie View A&M University graduate, I'm so tired of the HBCU hate about talent. We'll be back. So what is it? What is the difference now? How because I know when you were in Cleveland, you had a couple of injuries. Now, are you back fully healthy now?
I am fully healthy.
Yeah, and I've been noticing, because every time that you come in and you fill in for Matt,
Right.
you've been putting in some work. What kind of camp do you think that you're having?
I'm having a pretty good camp so far. I mean, we're only halfway through, about to be halfway through.
Yeah.
So it's not how you start, it's about how you finish. And I got to see, let's come out here, keep stacking the good days on top of each other and get better every day.
Now, being a veteran in this league, do you reach over and tell a young guy a couple of things, give him a couple of pointers in Titus Howard?
I wouldn't even consider myself better. There's way older guys in the room more than me. But
Yeah.
I do, whenever I see the rookies, do something wrong that I did, I try to correct them and make their path easier to the top so we're all on the same path.
All right, last question I got for you, because I know you got to get out of here. This Saturday coming up against the Detroit Lions, the second preseason game. What are you looking for from yourself, to be able to do out on the field, looking to accomplish?
I mean, of course, I always try to have a perfect game, play no sacks and no penalties. That's my really overall goal of going to each game. But, just playing with my perfect technique, no men early, things like that, and make sure all of my linemen are all over the court, and Calavente and Zach and all those guys are always going to be on the same page. And we work 5-1, and there's no telling what can happen.
All right, thank you, Mr. Johnson.
Thank you, sir.
Hey, welcome back. You're tuned in to Sports Talk with Big Sarge. I'm Big Sarge along with
Grizz.
and
AB.
and I feel like I'm like right in the middle of it's only because that I'm a Cowboys fan that I feel like I'm caught like right in the middle of it. But I'm gonna stay professional. I'm gonna make sure I stay professional because I know the teams that you all root for. Anyway, Keith.
Hashtag long side.
Before the break, we were talking about. You asked me about the offensive line and if they will be able to protect Deshaun Watson this year. Now we know that on last year, Deshaun Watson was sacked 62 times. It seemed like it was more because he got hit a lot as well.
Hit a lot.
And so you asked me about that, and then like I said, before we went to the break, I started telling you all. How can I put this, Aaron? I'm not happy. I'm not. The Texans selected Titus Howard out of Alabama State with their first pick this year. And ever since they picked him, there's been just constant hate. And they always want to talk about the school, the school that he came from, which is a historically black college or university. But they never ever talk about watching him play in the Senior Bowl or watching him play against Auburn, or even they don't know anything about this kid. I cover Prairie View A&M. I seen Titus Howard on more than one occasion. Just a couple of weeks ago, I was down at the SWAC Media Day, and I got a chance to talk to his head coach, Howard Ely, and he says, "Listen, this guy is one of the guys that you would want to come in. Like he could date my daughter,
Oh, wow.
And so he says,
That's a hell of an endorsement.
He's such a good person, and on the field, he does whatever you're asking for. There was a game last year against Alcorn State, and Alcorn ended up winning the SWAC and losing. I think they went to the Heritage Bowl, if I'm not mistaken, but they lost that by 2 points. Alabama State beat Alcorn State last year. During that game, Titus Howard came in sick. He played right. He started off at left tackle, and then the right tackle was getting beat, and so they moved him over to the right tackle position because they switched quarterbacks as well. His coach told me that they had a right-handed and a left-handed quarterback, so they would slide him. But in this particular game, the right tackle was getting beat, so they moved him over there. Then they needed somebody to play special teams. Titus Howard got on the field goal team to block the field goal. Got enough pressure up to block. So here's a kid that doesn't mind doing anything and everything that you ask him. He's coachable. He started out as a quarterback in high school. Then he ended up as a tight end. That alone should have let anybody with any football knowledge or sense know that, one of the main things about being an offensive lineman is what? Footwork. In playing tight end, that means he knows exactly what he needs to do. Starting OTAs this year, he looked terrible. I'm not going to even lie to you. His first OTA, he looked terrible. By the end of OTAs, you could tell that he had been studying and working. Coming into training camp, he's getting better and better every day. Now, we'll see. He's still a rookie.
Right.
He hasn't went up against any other competition, any of that game speed. He hasn't been in game time situations like that. But from what I see, here's a kid that could, potentially be another Dwayne Brown.
Let me ask you a question, because this is really where the trenches is won. Tell me about his handwork. Is he moving his hands right? Is he pushing people off his body? How is he blocking? Is he getting pressure? What is he doing that's making him stand out as a blocker?
Well, it's like I said, I'm watching his feet first. And so he's very quick on his feet. He moves very quick. He's nimble. Now, you asked me about his blocking techniques as far as his hands is concerned.
Yeah.
This is where he's a big guy, but he is an NFL big. So it's going to take him a little bit of being in the program, going up against just the, because people take for granted how strong the Texans front seven is. Even without Jadeveon Clowney being in camp, they still got a very good front seven.
Yeah.
And so, he's going up against these type of guys. Like DJ Reader isn't just somebody that, just walked off the street or came from the now defunct Keith's favorite league, the AAF, and the what were they, the San Antonio Gamblers or something? What were they, Keith?
San Antonio Commanders.
Yeah, you got t-shirts. Keith got t-shirts and tattoos and all that stuff. But DJ Reader isn't one of those guys that just walked off the street.
Right.
And so when I say I say he's not NFL ready as far as strength and conditioning. He's getting there. Once he gets some of that, he's still carrying some of that college weight. So he's working hard. So, but I say about game 7 or 8, once he gets into a routine, it'll be a little bit better for him.
And that might be too late, right? That might be the end of the season. And I think it would be unfortunately coincidental that we get through Murderous Row and then he finally gets it.
So, are you not happy with the Texans?
No, like everybody else, right? Dillard was on the board and we passed on the bigger name who everybody knew to go for the small school guy, right? I don't know if he's going to be good or bad. I hope, right? But I haven't seen anything from him.
So, because Dillard came from Washington, right? Not Washington. Was it Washington?
Yeah, but he was still one of the more highly touted.
What if I told you that? What if I told you that the Texans had him graded the same? That him and Titus Howard had the same grade. They looked at them exactly the same.
I would believe you, right? I would believe that is probably something that you heard after once again the Texans were traded up in front of and someone they were eyeing was.
So you like Dillard because of the school he went to? Because the only reason I'm asking because there's a lot of D1 busts in the NFL.
That's true, but I think when you look at most people's draft boards and you look at most the way that most people were grading the offensive linemen, Dillard was near the top of the board and Howard was on boards. So that's not me. That's just what I saw on TV. I don't know. I don't grade offensive linemen, and I wouldn't even know how.
I guess my thing would be, because I've talked to some offensive linemen, and it's kind of, I guess it's kind of personal because of the HBCU aspect of it. But watching this kid, he's good. I put it like this: what's the guy's name that went to the Raiders? Was it Trent Brown? The guy that came from the guy who came from New England that ended up going to the Raiders and got paid that huge contract. He was a bust. He wasn't even supposed to even be playing on the They threw him into the Jimmy Garoppolo deal. And now he's one of the highest paid offensive linemen. But if you look at him, you're like, wait a minute, he's not even that good. What about the guy who played for the New England Patriots and then went to the Giants? I can't, and this is my fault. If I'd have known we was going to talk about this, I'd have definitely had the name. But, you know, the fans wanted him to come here so bad, and then he went to the Giants, and he was a bust. I'm only using that to say that, for me, there's a lot of big name offensive linemen that come from Division I schools that just flame out. They just they're not any good to me, and so I don't like the stigma of, oh, well, he went to a HBCU, and because if that's the case, then we would have never gotten a Jerry Rice. We would have never gotten a Walter Payton. We would have never got a Steve McNair.
And I'm not saying.
Oh yeah, I'm not saying. Yeah.
I don't care what school he went to. In fact, most people who know me know I'm not a college sports fan, and not that I don't like sports in college. I don't like that the athletes aren't paid, and I don't care what you say. An education that nobody cares about is not in lieu of, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And when you have billion-dollar organizations that don't pay their workforce, I think it's a freaking crime. So I don't support college sports for the most part. That's a tangent, and I'm sorry for that. But that's just to say I don't look at the school he came from. I'm just looking at when you look at, let's just throw McLean out there, and you look at his draft board, right? And you see where Dillard and Howard were on the draft boards, and that's what I'm basing it on, right? Most people, conventional wisdom would say that Dillard was a higher rated, right? Even if the Texans did have him rated the same, I know that's what they said, and I know they were actually saying that was their guy from jump, right? Mm-hmm. But again, just like a couple years ago when, who was it? I think Baltimore jumped up in front of him and took somebody that they were eyeing, right? Same thing happened when whoever took Dillard, I think Philly, right?
Philly
jumped up and took him right in front.
Second year in a row, Philly has done that. They jumped up and took Dallas. Dallas, I can't think of the tight end. They took him as well. So, but Aaron, I'm gonna say this. So, and I tell my boy Chris this all the time because he is one who loves to debate me, and I'm saying, Chris, you're listening to these guys on the radio, and you're listening to these guys on television, and you're listening to a lot of these guys on the television who I've never seen them at a Texans training camp. I don't know. They're just going by off of what they either heard or watching a couple of people.
I threw McLean out there, and you know damn well McLean's out there, hot and sweaty.
Yes, but and you know what? And I'm gonna say this. Nothing against, cause I have nothing but the utmost respect for Mr. McLean. I talk to him all the time. Mr. McLean is somebody that, you know, I pull to the side, but you know, in all honesty, he's just giving his opinion. He's just giving his opinion. I mean, you think about it like this. Didn't Mel Kiper Jr. and McShay, Todd McShay, if I'm not mistaken, it may not have been Todd McShay, but I know that it was let's just say the draft experts. You remember they said that there were some other quarterbacks that were going to be better than Cam Newton. Well, Matt Barkley was supposed to be better than Cam Newton, right? There's a lot. So all I'm saying is there's a lot of people that
get injured here. He would have wrecked.
Who?
Barkley, man. We had a team for him too.
So, yeah, Case Keenum moving. So as I digress back
that's one of the times Case Keenum came in and saved the franchise. Man, look, we can hate Case all we want.
Man, listen, hold on. Let me go ahead and side note this thing. Let me just side note. Let me table the offensive line because I want to get back and I want to talk about Matt Khalil and I want to talk about Martin Rankin. All right. Martinez Rankins. Let's go ahead and just have this Case Keenum, a.k.a. Kirk Cousins, a.k.a. Colt McCoy. They're all in the same league to me.
They might as well be the same person.
But don't they? I'll put it like this.
They all look alike.
Okay, so if Case Keenum walked in here right now, would you be able to tell who he was? Because I'll be like, hey, who's this guy?
So, I mean, like I said earlier, I have a pretty good ties to the Cougs, so I would know who he is, yeah. I wouldn't be able to tell the difference between Colt McCoy.
What if I put his stats on paper? Would you be able to tell who he was?
No. But I wouldn't be able to tell Colt McCoy apart from you like that guy.
See, I'm a UT fan, so I know who
Kirk Cousins.
I'll be able to tell who Colt McCoy Coleman.
I know he followed VY, but I didn't follow him after VY.
I mean, look, Case Keenum. Okay, look, nobody really knew who Case Keenum was until he closed his eyes and threw the ball to, was that Stephon Diggs?
Is that who he threw it to?
For the last 13 seconds?
Yeah.
You know, he closed his eye. He couldn't even see what was going on. He kind of closed his eyes and just chucked the ball.
You know what?
You know, that's like.
That's his career at U of H. That's what you about to say?
Don't hate his kung fu hustle.
For real, bro. Like, listen, we've had discussions before, and I told you, Case Keenum has got that negative stigma attached to him as him being a backup quarterback in the NFL.
It's not a negative stigma. He should get it tattooed.
No,
He is a backup quarterback.
Bro, listen. If you look at the time, if you look at the times he came back and he saved the Texans franchise, and you know what I'm saying?
TJ Yates did too.
No, bro.
I know I'm cutting you off.
He's back again from him.
Right?
Yeah. So it's like, you know.
All right, hold on, Keith.
Yeah.
I got a question then.
All right.
Name me right now 5 teams Case Keenum could start for in the NFL.
I think Tampa Bay.
Over Jameis Winston? No.
Absolutely.
Not over Jameis. And don't they have...
I don't think they're happy with Jameis Winston.
Well, he has character issues, but I don't think that...
I think if they...
Case Keenum, he would be Ryan Fitzpatrick after they realized, oh, yeah, you remember what happened to him? He was hot the first 2 weeks, and then they caught on to what he's doing. Like, yeah, we got you, bro.
Tennessee Titans.
Over Mariota?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
No
I would take
way.
him over Mariota any day.
Yeah.
Over Mariota?
Because look,
No way.
see
Buffalo
Mariota's
over
performance,
Josh
bro.
Allen, Buffalo. He could start in Buffalo.
Yep.
I believe he could.
Case Keenum can start in Buffalo.
Yeah, over Josh Allen, absolutely.
No, and I'm going to tell you why. You're a Cougs guy, right? Who Buffalo got this year? Ed Oliver, right?
Yeah.
The second coming of Khalil Mack, pretty much.
I would
He's
think
gonna
Von
get-
Miller, but all right.
He's going to get a defense. He's gotten a defense around him. And what happened when Mitchell Trubisky got a defense around him? All of a sudden, he became the best thing since ice water.
I was gonna say Mitchell Trubisky next, but I know Chicago loves him.
I wouldn't take Keenum
Hey,
over Trubisky.
Look, you might as well put Trubisky right there with the Kirk Cousins, Case Keenum.
He ain't had enough time in the league yet.
No, but he will. Look, he's offensively challenged when it comes to throwing the ball.
Who? Case Keenum?
No.
No, bro.
Bro, listen, hold on. What was
Trubisky.
the Broncos' record last year? Did they make the playoffs?
No, but they had a lot of team issues. They had a lot of team issues going on. It wasn't Case Keenum's fault. They didn't have a complete team.
Okay, so Keith,
They were
Case-
giving up 30 points a game for a large.
who's your 5? Okay, hold on, Keith. Who's your 5 teams? You said Tampa Bay. You got Tampa Bay too.
Tampa Bay,
Uh-huh.
Tennessee Titans.
Yeah. See how that works.
But that's
Aaron,
bad.
help him out. Aaron, help him out.
Buffalo.
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 Okay.
I mean, I think it would be a toss up in Jacksonville and probably a toss up in Miami.
Over touchdown Jesus
Oh yeah.
and over
Yeah.
Josh Rosen.
Yeah.
These
Look,
one of
Josh
the
Rosen-
smartest quarterbacks in the
Josh-
league.
Look at what Josh Rosen was able to do in Arizona last year. Almost nothing.
Well-
But at the end of the season, he had like a 2 or 3 game stretch where he looked serviceable. But you might as well throw him in with the Kirk Cousins.
Hold on. Like, I'm gonna tell you what we used to do when I was in the military. Right? When I was in the military and I used to be in the office and somebody said something that was like crazy or deranged or insane or just not smart, I would just freeze like this and be like, can you still see me? Because I went invisible. Like, I know you can still see me, right? You can still see me?
Are you wearing camouflage?
I thought I was invisible, but you can hear me, I guess. Aaron, how can you make
Are the
excuses?
leaves rustling in the trees in your camouflage?
Keith,
Yeah.
tell me if I'm wrong.
Alright.
Aaron just said that the reason why Case Keenum didn't flourish in Denver was because they had a lot of team issues. Did the team who chose number 1 this year not have a lot of team issues?
That's true.
Arizona, how many offensive systems did they try to implement? He had his coach for like 1 year. I mean, and when you're being led by a guy in the general manager, didn't he get caught like drinking
So look,
like heavily? He probably was doing that at practice.
If you put Josh Rosen on the Broncos, they're gonna have the same record. If you put
No way.
Case Keenum on the Cardinals last year, they're gonna have a better record than they had this year. Case
Okay.
Keenum is gonna win more games than Josh Rosen did. Look, Josh Rosen didn't even start the season as a starter.
Keith, can you still see me? Because I went invisible again. And the reason why I went invisible is because how much talent did Case Keenum have in Minnesota, and they still let him go? Was Minnesota not a great team? They went to the second round of the playoffs.
From the Super Bowl, yeah.
And they still let him go.
Right,
Because he's still
because
labeled as that quarterback.
But they
Because
you
he
look at
is
what
that
they-
quarterback.
You look at what they did, and they went after what they considered the prize of free agency last season. That's what Minnesota did. They felt like they upgraded, and in reality, when you look at what they did and what they reaped from it, it didn't work. It didn't make them better. They weren't better off for letting Case go, and that alone should make you say Case is probably a little bit better than Kirk Cousins.
All right, so now he goes. So Minnesota lets him go. He goes to Denver, where they, allow him to be the starter. And now Denver has let him go and brought in Joe Flacco, one of the oldest, slowest quarterbacks that there is. Have you seen? I don't even think Joe Flacco can throw a 12-yard out route to his sons. I mean, let's just look at when you look at Joe Flacco, you're looking at an older version of what Matt Ryan is going to become. So you can't even beat out Joe Flacco. They still let him go in Denver. They didn't say let's keep him and try to build.
Yeah, they never gave him a chance to beat out Joe Flacco.
Because they seen what he did the year prior, Aaron. They looked at it like this guy cannot get it done.
That's fair. Look, Flacco ain't gonna do much better.
At all.
Right? Flacco had a hot stretch in the playoffs where he won a Super Bowl, and other than that, he's literally a very middle of the road, substandard quarterback. He is. Coming out of Delaware, he wasn't that good. When Baltimore drafted him, everybody in Baltimore was like, what in the world?
He did have a great playoff run
He had
to
a
the
good
Super
playoff
Bowl.
run. Yeah,
No interceptions.
and
What
then
did he
he-
do?
and then he
12
got paid.
touchdowns, no interceptions.
Then he got paid, and then he hasn't lived up to that contract.
We're about to go to a break.
We should.
I'm going to go invisible now.
Look,
And when we come back, you should only be able to hear my voice now. But when we come back, we'll continue talking about Texans camp 2019 and how the new coach over at U of H wouldn't take Case Keenum in his prime. We'll be back.
It was really cool.
What does it feel like knowing that you're that hero to the next generation of kids coming up?
You know, it was when I walked out of the tunnel today, just to hear the reception and the way that people reacted, and the jerseys and the kids, and I can't really even wrap my head around it because it's crazy to me, and I'm so thankful that the people treat me the way that they do, and my goal is to make them as proud as I can because the way they support me here in Wisconsin, the way they support me in Texas, and when you see a kid wearing your jersey and looking up to you or holding a sign with your name on it, I know what it feels like to be that kid, and so for them to be looking at me it's surreal, and it really is something I don't take lightly, and I try and do my best to make sure that I'm setting a good example, and that's all I can do is try and make them proud.